This is the Weekly Scramble, a place where we chat about life over a cold one or two. It's time to belly up to the pod with Mike Fratelloni and your host, Chris Reavers.
That's right. It's time for the Weekly Scramble, and my name is Chris Reavers. By my side, his name is Mike Fratelloni with Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores. Hello, Michael.
How you doing, Reavers?
I'm good, and I have so much stuff to talk about with you today.
You did some pre-show work.
Well, the thing I like, and I don't know if it's a testament to the style of show that we do now, because, you know, when we were on the radio for so many years, we didn't really have as much active listener participation as we do as a podcast.
Correct.
Do you know what I'm saying?
When we were on the radio for the beer show, it was late at night, so arguably people are driving, and they weren't able to send us emails.
True, but I do love the way that I think people like the format of the show that we put together, and we get a lot of feedback from people from time to time. So I'm excited to share that with you. But we were just having a conversation with the mayor before he left for the day, and I told Joe after we concluded GL today, it barely came up. And of course, John and I have different viewpoints on this, and so we just kind of bickered about it after the show. And I told Joe, I said, you really need to do some homework on this because, you know, he's a lot smarter than me. But I think what Elon Musk is doing with Twitter right now is so up Joe and Garage Logic's alley because of what Elon is exposing. And I just think whether you like him or don't like him or whatever, the topic in general, I think, is just so up GL's alley.
You know, I think a lot of people would disagree with me on this, but when you think of it, if you just get down to the base that the President of the United States was taken off a social media platform, and he didn't, and whether you think he incited a riot, didn't think he incited, he never said, go storm that building, kill those people. He didn't say that, right? So there was nuance to what he wrote on the tweets on January 6th. But to think that Hezbollah still is up, terrorist organizations that talk about destroying Jews are still tweeting every day. Yet the President of the United States, whether you like him or hate him, I don't really even care. It seems so illogical to think that we all just said, yeah, that makes sense. He said some stuff people disagree with, pull him off the platform. Yet we have free speech in this country that is hypothetically a free speech factory, right? That's there. They're not supposed to impede on free speech. And if they do, then they fall into a totally different category, right? And when you just think of that, like, how did somebody have the audacity to say, let's ban him from Twitter? Doesn't that seem, and I'm of course referring to Donald Trump.
And the part, I guess, that I just find infuriating is the fact that we basically it boiled down to we had an office of two people, this being Twitter now, that said, oh, this isn't okay, this is okay. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute here. Don't get me wrong. I'm a user. I love Twitter. I'm not a big Facebook guy, but I do like it. I think it's fun. It's a cool diversion at times. But to sit here and think, okay, you're going to let all this other stuff fly, but this wasn't okay. I guess the hypocrisy is laughable to me.
And you know, the guy that was in charge of kind of running the Twitter shadow banning, which they say they didn't shadow ban because their definition of shadow ban is to take someone all the way off the platform so no one sees their thing. But in reality, they shadow banned people so strong that the only person that could see their tweet is the person who wrote the tweet. Right? So they were saying, oh no, we weren't taking away from 100% of the people because there was still you could see it.
Right.
And they said, well, that's not shadow banning. But to think that this kid who was in charge of this, he wrote, I mean, did you hear what his doctoral thesis was?
No.
So he went to, I believe, he was an Ivy Leaguer, I believe.
Oh, sure.
I'm making that part up.
All right.
But his doctoral thesis was about how minors would be able to hook up with other people on sex apps.
Oh.
And I thought, that's a doctoral thesis. So it goes way back to his college days where someone didn't take a ruler and slap him on the back of the hand and say, no,
you're not
going to write that story about teens and minors specifically hooking up with adult men, right?
Got it.
And I thought, well, maybe that's why no one ever, he sounded like a real participation trophy kind of kid, and no one ever said to him, no, You can't ban the president of the United States because you dislike him.
Right.
It doesn't work
That's
that way.
not how it works.
Or you can't ban this Stanford scientist, this physician from Stanford, who came out with this thing during the pandemic. He said, hey, we should keep the older people, we should get them vaccinated as soon as possible, keep them isolated, then the rest of us should go about our business. They totally banned him. And when you get banned from Twitter, you lose all reputational standards because people say, he must be a nutcase. He got banned from Twitter. Right? Mm-hmm. And in reality, the guy is just shockingly correct in retrospect of what we probably should have done mathematically.
Right.
So weird. So weird.
All right. So the main story I wanted to bring up with you, because the first time I mentioned this, you had a fascinating explanation, and you're really smart about this kind of stuff.
I wish that were true.
No,
you're
you
very
are
nice to me. You're like my mother or my grandmother.
Aww.
That's very nice. Now are you going to tell me that I have a real good full head of hair too? Like, you're my mom. I sat down with her at dinner the other day, and she wasn't drinking, and she said, is your hair growing in thicker? And I said, yes, Mom. At 51 years old, my hair is getting thicker.
It's back.
It's all back. It's all thicker than it's ever been.
So there was a story that came out from the Associated Press, and it was talking to the new FTX CEO.
Oh, there's a new one. Okay.
And that was exactly what my reaction was. So, of course, I click on it because I thought, well, wait a minute. Why would there be a new CEO? Mm-hmm. So I click on it. The new CEO of the failed cryptocurrency exchange, FTX, is appearing before a House committee today, detailing for lawmakers the lack of oversight and financial controls that he discovered since taking over the company a month ago.
Oh, good.
John Ray III called FTX's collapse one of the worst business failures he has ever seen. A, quote, paperless bankruptcy fueled by an unprecedented lack of documentation, end quote.
Think of that.
Which is exactly what you said weeks ago on this show. Notably absent from the hearing before the House Financial Services Committee is FTX's founder and former CEO, Sam Bankman-Fried. Is it Fried or Fried?
Fried.
Fried, who was arrested in the Bahamas just hours before he was scheduled to testify. The arrest was made at the request of the U.S. government, which today announced criminal charges against Bankman-Fried, including wire fraud and money laundering. FTX filed for bankruptcy protection on November 11th when the firm ran out of money after the cryptocurrency equivalent of a bank run. The collapse of crypto's second largest exchange has garnered worldwide attention and prompted worries in the crypto industry that the pain could become widespread. Estimates are that FTX customers could wind up losing billions of dollars.
More than that. I mean, it's all going to be gone. But in reality, what I'm kind of thinking is happening here is Sam didn't do anything illegal. Bear with me.
Okay.
He didn't have bank covenants that he had to make. Like a bank, if they loan $1 out to someone, right? Mm-hmm. They have to have another. If they loan $10, they have to have one in reserve, something like that. So if a group of people go and want to get cash, they have that $1 in reserve. Well, cryptocurrency exchanges don't have any legal right to keep anything in reserve. So if someone gives them $1 billion, they can spend all of that $1 billion, do anything, fund everything else. Hypothetically, when people want their $1 billion back, they're supposed to give them the money back, but they're not legally bound by any ratio that says you need to keep 50% of the deposits in reserve, like a bank would have. And a bank's not even 50%. It's 1 to 10 or 1 to 100 or whatever it is. Before it used to be on the gold standard, right? But we're not on that anymore. So there's some leverage ratio. Well, Sam just leveraged it all the way. He just went to an infinite amount of leverage, which was totally legal. There is nothing that says you can't do that as a cryptocurrency exchange.
Well, okay, so then what will he ultimately be charged with?
He charged money laundering or fraud.
Okay.
I don't even know if it's fraud. He said, hey, you put your $100 in here. I used your $100 for something else. You wanted it back. At that time you wanted it back. I didn't have your $100. Congratulations, you're out. Sorry. And it's horrible and it's dumb, but it's I don't know how else to express it. They don't have a covenant with a bank like a bank in the United States would have that says you need to keep reserve currency. You need to keep some reserve just in case people want money out of your bank. They just don't have that. So I don't know what they're going to actually get him on.
So I only bring up this. The main reason I bring up this story is because I have to read you this quote in this story. Again, according to the Associated Press.
Remind me of the new CEO's name.
Ray is his last name. His first name is John Ray III. He's got the three, the ones after the deal.
Boy, do I hate that. Okay, so he's probably an attorney for bankruptcy attorneys or something.
He's the new CEO.
Yeah, but I think he's probably an attorney.
I do find it hilarious that they would hire on a new CEO.
Well, it's just to get him through bankruptcy.
Okay, gotcha.
Oh, he's a corporate. He did something with Enron too, so he closed up Enron.
Oh, sure.
He's restructuring companies and helps manage the fallout of some of the largest corporate failures in history.
He seems good and slimy, doesn't he?
But you got to remember, this is someone else putting him in that place.
That's a good point.
So he's maybe the guy who will say, "Let's see what's going on. Hand me the paperwork. How much money do we have?"
So you have to listen to this quote because I love it and I know it's going to get a reaction out of you. This again, according to Ray. FTX Group's collapse appears to stem from the absolute concentration of control in the hands of a very small group of grossly inexperienced and unsophisticated individuals who failed to implement virtually any of the systems or controls that are necessary for a company that is entrusted with other people's money or assets, Ray said.
It's clear they use software to conceal the misuse of customers' funds and gained access to sensitive data through an unsecured group email. It's shocking. This guy, this Ray, Mr. Ray, it's a unique name, but John J. Ray III. John J. Ray. That doesn't even sound like he was in charge of the Fruit of the Loom underwear maker when they lost a bunch of money. He did Enron during its bankruptcy. He's done a lot of really big ticket dollar amount things.
This Bankman character, don't you think ultimately that jail's probably the best place for him? You defraud people out of billions of dollars, you're going to end up with your head severed.
Did he defraud people out of billions of dollars? No, what I'm saying is he didn't by law, there was no law saying, hey, you need to keep their billions of dollars safe. He didn't have to do that. He just really mismanaged. So I can 100% see him going to jail for mismanaging. And he cheated and screwed people. I'm not saying he's not a dork, but he didn't need to say, well, we better keep 50% of their money in our bank.
But
he just never thought there'd be a day where it would go down and people would want to get their money out, because if it was still going up.
So it was arrogance.
It was arrogance. If it was still going up, we would never know, because more people would be putting in than taking out.
True.
So he would have never had to come up with those cash calls.
Okay.
It's so frustrating and it's deplorable, but what it makes me feel like is you have to run back to cryptocurrency, right? Or to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin seems like the big one, but those are two different things. Bitcoin's a coin, and he was an exchange. So what exchange do you use?
Okay.
Like you trade stocks on Schwab, or you trade stocks with Morgan Stanley. Well, you were trading crypto with FTX, right? With his company. Mm-hmm. Well, I have a Coinbase. It's a company called Coinbase. And Coinbase, are they holding all my money? I don't know. I'm not checking their books. Okay. Am I auditing to see if they have my $384 worth of cryptocurrencies?
All right. So
sometimes I get so wound up.
I know. So that kind of goes into an email from Greg. Hey, Reeves. Hey, Mike. I remember a fact-based mantra that GL used to have. Seems Joe isn't interested in that it relates to a cryptocurrency. I wasn't surprised at his view of crypto from the November 15th show when you guys touched on the FTX bankruptcy. What you guys talked about was the front page, easy to read stuff. Where was Joe's journalistic curiosity on a story of this magnitude? Billions of dollars were lost. There are politicians and others in the highest seats of power that have very close ties to FTX, and the CEO isn't being held accountable other than by some of the crypto sleuths that know something stinks here. Reporting ain't what it used to be. Most people in America and the world, like Joe, still view crypto as imaginary, made-up internet money. There have been and will continue to be scams in crypto that real people fall for as long as the education is lacking regarding blockchain, digital wallets, centralized versus decentralized finance, etc. Thank you for bringing this up on the Weekly Scramble. I loved yours and Mike's discussion about FTX. So,
well, that's cool.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, it is a very, very complicated story, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's very complicated, and just the nature of what cryptocurrency is incredibly complicated. right? People just don't get, it has blockchain technology. You say that to somebody, it's got blockchain technology.
And
they
for
say,
me, it's just...
Yeah, like, whoa, great. It could have
you know what I do think?
automatic windows too. I don't know.
I think that, and I'm not being facetious when I say this. I mean this. We talk about Tom Brady on this show once in a while.
Yeah.
I think this is part of why he's playing so bad.
If you lose your entire fortune, get divorced from one of the most beautiful women in the world, you're on a... we don't have him on a watch, do we? A suicide watch?
Did you watch any of their game on Sunday?
I didn't. I missed it all.
It was as if they said, "Hey, Reeves, we're down a couple guys. Can you go play quarterback?" So he didn't look like 45-year-old Tom Brady. He looked like 45-year-old Chris Reavers.
Really?
That's how bad he was.
Is it people not catching his passes, or
no? He was terrible.
Okay.
I mean, to the point where I thought, "Oh, Tom."
So
and I bet nobody's a bigger Tom guy than me.
You would trade places with him in a heartbeat.
Well, I'm just saying, I like rooting for guys that are still playing professionally that are older than me.
I get it. So next year we won't have Tom.
I think he's going to come back because he lost so much of his money. Now, granted, he's got a $300 million television contract whenever his playing career ends. So I get that. Okay. And he's still not hurting for money. He's going to be just fine.
So if he comes back and has another crap year, his television contract might be...
no, I think that's an ironclad deal.
Yeah, but you think of that. Do you want to see a multiple season year end of the... Okay, so Brady will be gone. Rodgers will most likely be gone, right?
Sure.
Who else will be gone? Who else just got hurt with the ACL?
Yeah, those guys are young, though. You're talking about Kyler Murray.
Yeah, Kyler will be back, we'd hope, next year.
Yeah.
Right?
Lamar Jackson will be back. They'll be fine. But I'm serious. I think that what happened here, because he and his wife had invested a ton into this company.
$600 million. 600. Their total, from the stories that I've read, they had about 600. And I don't know if it's $600 million. I doubt of their money, but that's what their ambassadorship was worth. But no one was going to pay them $600 million to be ambassadors. Even Bankman-Fried wasn't that weird.
So I'm going to be a little bit all over the place on today's episode.
I love that. I love we're feel a stream of consciousness people.
What happens too oftentimes is Joe will say something, and I will make a note of it. And sometimes it's on GL, and sometimes it's when we're not recording the show. But he'll say, "Hey, ask Mike such and such."
Got it.
And so that's when I'll make a note. I'll remember to ask Mike, because then sometimes it can be used as commentary on our show. And that's the case here. So today, we got an email on this also. So on today's show, Joe had mentioned that the closer you get to the country's tallest buildings, he's convinced that, outside of Rice Park, that cities are not putting up Christmas lights anymore. And I said, well, that's something I should ask Mike, because you guys sell a ton of Christmas stuff.
Yeah, that's
or not
really
as much
funny.
as you used to, but
we sell a ton of trees, a ton of Christmas lights. But that's funny that you mentioned that. I hadn't noticed that, but I do remember years past when you drive down Grand Avenue.
Oh yeah,
and they would have the candy canes all lit up, and it was really, really pretty. Well, right now, on spots of Grand Avenue, they don't even have trees anymore. The trees are ripped out. They're gone. On Victoria and Grand, they ripped out all the trees. Everything just looks slightly blighted. I'm like, what is going on? Get the trees back. I keep going back to that tree controversy we have, where is there equity in trees, right? And it's like, well, Grand Avenue is missing a bunch of trees now. That seems odd that they would allow the Premier Road in St. Paul to look treeless. What are we waiting for? And I don't know they take out a tree. I don't know this, but I assume when you remove a tree and clean up the dirt, you could plant a tree right back there.
Sure.
But they don't do that. They remove a tree and then wait 3 years. It's like, what are you waiting for? Because what do they say? What's the best day to plant a tree? It's 20 years ago or today, right?
Sure.
You do it right now. You don't wait, let's plant it in 3 years, because then you miss 3 years of growth.
Right.
It's just so weird. And I have, now that you mentioned that through Joe, it does seem like there is less of that all around. It seems like even people at their homes are doing less of it.
And you're going to have to help me here, because you obviously drive this stretch far more frequently than I do. But one of my favorite drives, and I only do this when the freeways are a gong show. I most likely will do it today, because I know the freeways are going to be a disaster because of the impending weather when I leave here today. But one of my favorite drives leaving here is going down the River Road.
Yeah, beautiful.
Okay, I absolutely love that drive, especially this time of the year. And obviously, it's gorgeous in the summer and because of the views and everything else. But they do light up stretches of the river road, do they not? Or is that mostly just residential
That's just
people?
residents doing
Okay.
Because they I mean, that's beautiful too. That is one of the most underrated roads in all of St.
It's
Paul.
fantastic.
Just the best.
Yeah.
Absolutely the best. I did have, so tonight you were talking about roads, and my daughters have volleyball, right? And they go to this place down in Burnsville. I live not in Burnsville, so it's like a 30-minute drive for me. And it goes from, hear me out, here's what I have to do tonight. From 4:30 till 9:30 p.m.
Is that a game?
No, it's two different kids have two different times of practice.
Oh.
So I have to go down there. And I'm begging the snow gods to create enough snow so someone will cancel volleyball, because 4:30 to 9:30. And so I'm telling the story to this guy. They had this all club meeting, right? And one of my daughter's kids on her team, there's a guy next to me, and a really nice guy. His name is Al. And I'm talking to Al, and he says, "Hey, I have another house down in Burnsville. If you just go over there and hang out, it's got a full bar, everything you need." I said, "Wait, are you offering me a place to I can just get a key to this house and go sit there and watch TV and have a drink, and then at 9:30 go pick up my kids?" And he's like, he bought it for his family who comes into town, like his parents come into town a couple months a year, right? And he goes, all winter they're on vacation. They're in the South. So all winter it sits empty. And I thought, I might just have to take you up on this.
Wait, so
wouldn't that be cool?
This is just such a separate reality from anything that I'm remotely used to. So Al just has a house.
Has another house that says, "Hey, Mom and Dad, when you come back into town in the summer, we want you to be by us, right? And you're older, so we want a safe place for you.
Okay.
Stay in this house." But he can't go rent it because his parents need to come back in the summer.
And he might need it for volleyball.
And he says when buddies come in from out of town, they use it, and some work people, and they use it. Might need it for volleyball. And I said, "Do you allow cigar smoking in there? Because if it could be a cigar smoking lounge, I might have some people over tonight."
I might be
so
just
tonight,
hanging out.
Shoot me a direct message on Facebook. I'm going to be at Al's house smoking cigars and drinking till my girls are done at 9:30.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
What a neat setup.
We had this club had a all Sunday meeting started at 11 o'clock, and parents had to show up at 1, and the meeting ended at 5 p.m. So we sat there and listened to volleyball stories and what we have to do and how we make our payments, and super nice guys.
Yep.
Professionally run club. But I'm like, you guys send us this. Here's the book with the 50 pages of stuff. I can read through this stuff. Do I need this? And it's mandatory. And you got to come every year. So this is our third year doing this thing. And I thought, it's a lot. That's a lot of meetings.
Yeah.
And, I don't even want to talk badly about the club because it's fantastic. But boy, it's a lot of work. Volleyball's a lot of work.
You're reminding me of something. We travel, not often, but, once or twice a year, we go somewhere, right, as a family. And for the last handful of years, she has been dead set on not doing hotel stays. She's wanted to do, whether it's VRBO or Airbnb or whatever, because in her words, I want to feel like I'm home. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
It's easier for us as a family, which I don't care.
Yeah,
so
and then you have a kitchen in there too.
Correct.
Yep.
So last summer, and I don't know if I shared this with you. Last summer, we did the trip to Seattle and the greater Washington area, right?
Yep.
And it was beautiful. Every minute that we weren't in the city of Seattle was spectacular, because we did go to one baseball game, and that was the only time we actually went into the city. And what a bleep hole that place is.
Yeah, what a shame.
Exactly, what a shame. And so the gal that we rented the house from actually lived next door to the place we were staying, which was totally fine. And she was unbelievably cool. And she and her husband, basically, that's what they do for a living. And so I'm thinking of Al and this gal that I met.
Airbnb this thing.
Well, no, what I'm saying is that's basically, she said, well, we started out, I forget, her husband worked in finance and she worked in healthcare, something like that. But they just basically started buying houses, and that's what they do.
Yeah.
All over the country is they just rent out vacation spots.
I can see
thinking,
the gears in your head thinking, why am I not Airbnb-ing my houses?
Well, and I just thought, okay, so you basically work for yourself. And granted, it's not all sunshine and roses. You've got to deal with a lot of crap, I'm guessing, from time to time, because not every person that rents your house is going to be, us. Where
Sure.
the house is going to be cleaner when I leave
Yep.
than it was when I got here because that's how good I'm going to take care of it. So I get that it's not all rosy all the time. So I get that. But I just thought, so you essentially get paid to travel all over the place.
That's not a bad deal. And they just go check their houses.
Yeah, so she was basically saying, well, this is one of the rare weeks that we're actually, because they were from that area.
Okay.
But she said, because it was during the 4th of July, and she said that's the only reason why we happen to be here is because
wanted to celebrate.
They had family visiting in town for that stretch of time or whatever. And I thought, so she goes, next week we're heading to Colorado, and then the week after that we're heading to Arizona. I thought, wow, that's.
Are you asking me to buy an Airbnb with you? Because
No.
I will do it.
No,
you and I can run an Airbnb. I actually have an Airbnb. I don't know if you know this.
I did know that.
Yeah, and it is weirdly successful, like really weirdly successful. And it's a unique property, and in fact, I want to buy one with my kids now and kind of teach them how to do
That's
it, right?
cool, yeah.
I think it would be really cool. But it is, one nice thing about it is this building that we used to have is kind of in a university area. I'm not going to say where it is, but it's in a kind of around a campus.
Yep.
And so we would always get campus kids in there. And then the end of the year would come and we'd say, we need to put in a new kitchen because they destroyed the kitchen, right? It was always just from looking okay to being destroyed every new tenant. So I was like, well, I'm done doing this. So what we did is we just pimped the thing out. I mean, it's beautiful. We really made it beautiful. And we get the top-notch Airbnb people. They're only in there for 3 days. So even if they're monsters, they can't do total damage, right? It's very hard to destroy a kitchen in 3 days, right? And we've never had, it was very funny. Our very first group, it's like it was set for 8 people, and they said, we have 12. Can we sneak people in here or like get more? And we're like, no. Like, I'm super confused. And it was a guy's 21st birthday, and I'm like, no. And I'm like, right off the bat, this is going to be horrible. They wrote us, this 21-year-old kid wrote the most beautiful, do a review of it, right?
Yep.
He wrote the most beautiful review, said it was such a pleasure. It was like, we've never been in a home like this. It was so cool. And they went for his birthday. They were up from Chicago, and they went to the Mall of America for his birthday and stayed at our house. And I was like, did I misread that? Like, because I thought for sure they were going to sneak in an extra 20 people laying on the ground. I would have had
the same reaction as you
and we've
did.
had nothing but, I should knock on this, nothing but really great tenants.
See, I've been in property management before.
Yeah,
and
tough.
but mine were obviously long term.
Yep.
And I didn't mind it. I really didn't. But I would think that route would be so much more work.
Well, you do have someone new coming in all the time, so it's a ton of communications, right?
And that's what I'm getting.
Yeah,
at.
but it's much more profitable, right? So we were renting this place, let's say, for $2,000 a month to these college kids, and we're getting $8,000 a month from Airbnb or whatever, because it's renting out for $300 a night instead of whatever. And it's just we're very lucky to have such a great place. It is really cool. I look at all the people that are going to go someplace else or have a cabin up north that the cabin gets used for 3 weeks. It's like, Airbnb that cabin. You might get $7,000 a week up north.
Yes.
It would be pretty cool. So yes, Reavers, I will commit to buying Airbnbs with you.
Okay.
I don't know where, but I'll absolutely commit to buying
to the
with
point
you.
where, and I don't know why she received it and I didn't, but because, and I guess I do know why she sent it to me, because the second it gets below 50 degrees here, it doesn't even have to be snowing. She's already looking forward to spring because she hates winter that much.
Your wife?
My wife,
Okay.
yeah. So my wife was born in Iowa, grew up in western South Dakota, came here for college, and absolutely she loves it here, but absolutely despises the winter, like a lot of us do.
Yeah.
And so she's always looking for signs. And so the Twins released their spring training schedule. And she goes, we need to, I go, holy F, calm down.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. I'm fine if that's fine.
It's gonna be a little harder down there this year.
She had asked if Royce still has his place in Fort Myers. I said, well, honey, he sold it 3 years ago, or whatever.
Are you asking me to use one of our places in Fort Myers? Because the answer is yes.
No.
Well, it's really hard down there because everybody who has a house down there is renting, because half the houses in Bonita Springs and Naples are.
Mike, I told you, I was just down there a couple of weeks ago. I could not believe, and I know we talked about it, I was blown away at the development of
growth,
housing.
Yeah, and you were in Orlando, right?
And it's unreal. I can't even imagine what it must be like in some of the other, in Naples and all these others. I know that they also have damage from the hurricane.
Yeah, just think of every house on Fort Myers Beach that's gone, right? Let's say it's 3,000 houses. Those people need to live somewhere. Well, there wasn't 3,000 things for rent in that area, so
Yeah,
you're
good
going
point.
all the way up to Orlando or going back to Michigan. You're missing a whole season down there, and I
Right.
think a lot of people are missing. Though some of those condo buildings that are on the beach, they didn't sustain much damage, but they got wet and their elevators got wet, and you can't just turn that stuff back on. So it's going to take a while.
I'm glad you mentioned that. So when things like that happen, obviously it takes a long time to recover, but some of these places that got hit so hard, I mean, whether it's your favorite restaurant or a grocery store or whatever, some of these places aren't coming back.
They're never going to
period.
come back. Yeah.
So what do you do as a city? I mean, you've got to function somehow.
Yeah, but you got to remember, if a storm ruins something in Faribault, they have land in Faribault, right? We can build. No one needs to put something back there. But when something gets destroyed on Fort Myers Beach, someone's going to say, that's my new home. And they're going to buy that land instantly and build a new house. I mean, that's a totally different thing. Every piece of inch down there is wanted so greatly, they'll rebuild in minutes.
It's just that the person that bought it as a retired school teacher in 1970 isn't going to be able to afford to rebuild it in 2022.
They were talking about these like $300,000 bungalows that were probably $60,000 bungalows 20 years ago. Now they're $300,000 that are in road, right, from the beach. And those all got knocked down. Now people are buying two lots together, building a $6 million house on one of those roads. It's like, oh, there you go. It's gone.
So
right?
I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm going to play the part of the mayor now today.
Okay, let's do it.
Did you read the piece in the Star Tribune today about everyone patting themselves in the back for this beautiful affordable housing condominium that they're going to build in Northeast?
No, I have not heard about that.
I started to read it because it's interesting, and then I looked into what the units were going to go for, and I thought, well, wait a minute here. So I don't remember the name of the developer, but the housing crisis was mentioned a bunch of times, and there's no doubt that the people are living on the streets, and it has nothing to do with drug addiction, I'm sure.
Or mental illness.
Or mental illness. So anyway, but we're going to cure that. But you keep reading into the story, and it said these up to 3-bedroom units are going to go for $400,000. I'm thinking,
low income, of course.
that's low income housing in Minneapolis? I got news for these people.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that?
What the hell?
Well, I think many of those developers have to have a percentage of their building be true low income.
Oh,
right. So they have
is that for tax purposes?
No,
or what is
it's
that
for building permit purposes, right? They have to
Okay.
have like, hey, 8 of the 100 units have to be low income units, right?
So
they
wait a minute.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I interrupted
So
you.
I think that, for a lot of apartment people and condo developments, they need to have some low income housing in there. The rest of it can be whatever they want it to be.
Okay,
right?
but let me ask you this then. Not that I would ever be in the market for one of these units, so I guess I don't care personally, but you're a guy that says, you know what, whether you're an empty nester or maybe you're a guy that's finally out of college debt and you want to buy your own place, so you're going to spend $500,000 on a nice condo that's also going to have low income housing in
Yeah,
it.
but that doesn't matter. It's just a small percentage. It doesn't mean people are bad. It's they're lower income people. Right? It's not like
Because you have to qualify for the program. Is that the
no,
bit?
yeah. I mean, you could, or you just have, it's just a cheaper unit, right? It's just going to be a cheaper unit.
Okay, gotcha.
And so, I mean, you wouldn't even notice that those units were the cheaper units potentially.
Okay.
But it would be kind of weird if you lived in a building where, like the 11 building that's on the river, that beautiful
It's
new,
gorgeous.
that has like a $30 million condo in it. I doubt they have any $240,000 condos down on level 1
Probably
facing
not.
the alleyway, right?
Probably
I
not.
doubt they'll do that, but it does make a lot of sense that they kind of have to do that. It's really difficult with some of these big buildings that get planned because you might be working on that for 5 years and then all of a sudden COVID comes in and then George Floyd and then you're like, wow, Minneapolis, and you can't but build it, right? You can't stop. You have your financing, you have all your money into it, you have the drawings, you own the property. You have to keep going. And I just think right now, like, who's moving to Northeast? Who wants to move to Northeast?
No, I can't imagine anybody does.
Right? And Northeast is still the good part of, let's call that Northeast downtown still, right? But if these new buildings that are going up in Minneapolis downtown, you're like, who's going down there?
Right.
Who's going to say, I want to live in a condo where 600 people are fighting out in front of me tomorrow?
So I can tell you who's going to the University of St. Thomas hockey game
Oh, that would be awesome.
The Tommy's Men's Hockey Holiday Flash Sale, Mike, is live. You can get a $5 ticket to see a great Division I battle up close and personal. St. Thomas battles Ferris State University this Friday and Saturday night. Go to TommySports.com to buy your $5 tickets or just come to the ticket office on game day. I will say this about your University of St. Thomas hockey team. You know what they're becoming? A pain in my Mankato Maverick side.
Are they? Why?
Well, it used to be when they would go play the Mavs, that was the game to go because, they knew that they were going to get their butts kicked, so tickets were usually pretty easy to get.
Okay.
Well, they played the Mavs tough. Mankato won both games, but all the Tommy fans came down and took up all the tickets.
Nice.
No.
So we travel well? Is that what they did?
That's not nice. I want them to stop coming to games.
I'm surprised there's any tickets available for this. First of all, they're $5, which is too good a deal, right? Mm-hmm. And then Ferris State, I assume they travel well from Big
Ferris
Rapids.
State swept my Mavericks 2 weekends ago.
Really? I was totally kidding. Is that a school that we know of? I've never even heard of Ferris State.
I can't remember where they're located, but yeah, they have a decent hockey club.
Remind me so the Mavericks are in their Division I, obviously, and they are in the WEAC or something. What are they in? What conference?
They are in they were in the WCHA.
Okay.
No, I got to look this up because I should know this. Oh, Racey's going to be screaming at me, man.
So what is the University of St. Thomas in? Because they recently became
They're in the
Division
same
I.
conference with Mankato.
Okay.
They are. The Central Collegiate Hockey Association.
Okay, so
they were in the WCHA. Now it's the CCHA.
The CCHA.
Yep.
So what's St. Thomas in for football?
They are in the NSIC? Hang on, I didn't know all this.
I didn't know how that worked.
Yeah,
right?
it's different.
So obviously, University of Minnesota is in the Big Ten network, and they're all of their sports are in the Big Ten. Or no, hockey, they're in the
Pioneer Football League.
Football League.
St. Thomas.
And who else is in the Pioneer Football League?
You.
Don't you have it there? Because I think it's some pretty big name schools, right?
Let's see.
I think there is Pioneer.
We got Dayton, Butler.
Okay. Well-known school.
St. Thomas. I'm looking at. I think South Dakota. Which one is that?
I think they're bigger than that.
Okay. So San Diego. Sorry. Which one is this? UC San Diego. Sorry, UC San Diego's in that.
Is that what's their team name? Is that the Torontos or whatever?
I think so.
Isn't that the Bulls? Isn't that what they call that?
I think so. Butler, Davidson, Dayton, Drake, Marist, Morehead State, Presbyterian, San Diego, Stetson, St. Thomas, and Valparaiso makes up your Pioneer Football League.
That is a lot of distance to travel.
Yeah.
East Coast, West Coast, Central United States.
It's probably why they need to buy that damn golf course so they can build some facilities over there.
Do you think they have who's flying them? Do you think St. Thomas, who has a great endowment, right? They do a great job with former St. Tommies, collecting money.
I would think they've got to have some type of an agreement with some airline,
Sun
right?
Country.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Spirit.
I have no idea.
I don't know. I mean, does the University of Minnesota...
Take a bus, gentlemen, for all I care.
Does
I don't
the University
give a damn.
of Minnesota have their own jet that they fly their football players on?
I think that they fly commercial, don't they?
That would be really interesting because, I mean, if you are, let's say you're Alabama.
Right.
You have 100 people on your team, right? You have the 50-some players plus 50 coaches and staff. How are they getting there? They're not all jumping on Delta Flight 3401. They might as well have their own 777.
I'm so glad you mentioned
Dreamliner.
That. So sadly, we learned of the news of the passing of Mike Leach, and you probably don't know who Mike Leach is.
He's a coach.
He was for Mississippi State. Previously, he was at Washington State, and then before that at Texas Tech. And one of the reasons there's been a number of people with outpouring support is he was a character, man.
Okay.
He was truly a character. Yesterday on Monday Night Sports Talk, we played the clip of him in the post game. He was being interviewed by, "Hey, coach," and then one of the sideline reporters asked him for marriage advice.
Oh no!
And it was great because for 2 minutes he just went on, "Okay, you're going to be accused of doing that wrong." And when she asked you about the invitations, you just say, "I don't care." It was great, and that's just who Mike Leach was.
Okay.
And so then a lot of people that coached either with him or against him started to share some of their great memories of him because he passed away at 61. I mean, he was a young guy.
Yeah, young.
And so there was a great story from one of his former assistants who now is the head coach at USC. His name is Lincoln Riley. And he's talked about the time that they were on a recruiting trip and Lincoln Riley was sitting in the front seat of the car with Mike Leach. And he was on the phone, and he was one of those guys where if you were on the phone with him, an hour conversation was considered short with him. He just loved to talk, right? And so he was on the phone for about 40 minutes, and then wherever the call dropped, so bad signal, whatever. Guy called back. They picked up right where they left off for another 20 minutes or so, and he was all right. Oh, good talking with you. Hung up the phone, and Lincoln Riley says to him, "Oh, were you on the phone with somebody from your family?" He goes, "No, it was a guy with the wrong number." Why? And he was dead serious.
For 40 minutes.
For 45 minutes was on the phone with some complete stranger
and then
talking about
back.
God knows what.
Isn't that funny?
I thought that was a pretty good story. So,
people
anyway.
can do that, right? I don't know. That's really impressive.
I never answer a call from any number I don't recognize.
No, I have that block on my thing where it makes you say, like, I'm calling for Mike, because I get so many weird calls. And I don't get weird calls from work. I get none from work, like from customers or anything. I get nothing like that. But I get just robocalls all day, every day. So I have to, and I have a block, but it doesn't block them, right? So it self-edits everybody out, but it's frustrating because people I know forever. I did just update my phone. I told you this, and I lost every single contact in my phone.
No.
Reavers, I want to read you this email or text message that I had, and I'm going to paraphrase it so I don't throw anybody's name. It said, I'm going to think of a name that doesn't sound like the name that it said, Mike, Sarah Wilson died.
Oh,
right?
No, I'm so sorry.
And I said,
about Sarah?
I don't know who Sarah Wilson is. And it wasn't Sarah Wilson's name. It was this other name, right? I said, I don't know who that is. I don't know who texted me this either.
Right.
So what's etiquette there? Should I just write back, who dis? Or, I'm sorry, who is Sarah Wilson? And who are you?
I think the correct way to do it is you want to remain inquisitive.
Okay.
But you also, in this specific case, you also want to seem somewhat endearing to the situation.
Okay.
So I believe the correct response would have been, "Oh my goodness, I am so sorry to hear that. How do I know Sarah?" Question mark. You'll get a response.
Okay.
Or remind me how I know Sarah. And then, because it might be somebody that you do know, and you're just forgetting.
It is. I just have a horrible memory.
That's what I'm saying. So that would have been a good way to say, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Remind me, how do I know Sarah?" And then you'll get maybe a story which will then remind you who the person that's texting you is.
And then what if they say, "Hey, you remember she was your 6th grade teacher. I'll see you at the funeral. I'll be wearing red." And I'll be like, "Wait, who are you?" Right? I mean, it's
a complex
the manly
life
way.
that you live.
I found the manly way out of that. You know what the manly way was?
What's that?
To just disregard it. Just think it's spam. I'm just going to go ahead. And I would have 100% thought it was spam, but it had the word Mike on it. So there are a lot of Mikes, though. So that could have been for anybody.
I know
Mike.
what you should have done. You know what you should have done? You should have said, "I'm so sorry to hear that."
Uh-oh.
No, I'm not going to. I'm not. Okay. I'm not going to do that.
Did she have daughters? Is that what
No. I was gonna. No, I'm not even gonna tell you.
Well,
what I was
felt
do.
very bad that I didn't know who it was or who died, but God rest their soul, because I'm sure they were friends.
So, yeah. No. I'm not going there.
Yeah.
So, I don't want. Now I'm in a kind of a situation like that because I heard directly from someone who I know that said, "Hey, I went to Fratelloni's to try to get a slush buster, and they were out."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, I'm not going to tell Mike that because I don't want that store to get in trouble."
Well, if he's out, he's out. This is Dave. Dave created something that everybody wants in a big way, and he's just running out of them. So his production for this time period is over, but still on Amazon, still have plenty at Fratelloni's, just specific stores. Just call ahead first, because Reavers, hotcakes.
I know.
Selling like hotcakes.
Well, it's the perfect time of the year for this product. A, it's needed, but B, people are buying odd gifts for family members, father-in-laws,
Can I tell you
whatever.
a story?
Yes.
I'm at the store, at Arden Hill store. This 70-year-old guy rolls in, says, "Do you have the slush busters?" hey, let me show you. So I take him over, pull it out of the box because they still had it in the box, pull it out of the box,
Yep.
showed it all to him. He goes, I put this on my Christmas list for my wife. And I turned to him and I said, hey, perfect Christmas gift. I only have those 4 left at the store. I only have 4 left. I said, buy it now.
Or it's going to be gone.
Or it's going to be gone. Wrap it up for yourself. Tell your wife, hey, I bought
Thank you,
myself a
honey.
gift. And guess what he did? He goes, I'll take one in the box. And
All
that's
right.
exactly what he's going to do.
So we also have added advice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it does make the Christmas gift for the car lover in your life, the Slush Buster, invented right here in Burnsville, Minnesota, from Dave Pounds. When you're done using the Slush Buster, it's going to be dirty.
Mm-hmm.
Simply push it into the snowbank or drag it across the snow to clean it off.
That's a good idea.
All that stuff doesn't
Yeah.
fall onto the floor in
Yeah.
your garage.
Yeah.
You also don't always have to use it outside if it's too cold. Chris has used his in his garage and pushed the slush out of the garage with a floor squeegee before it melts.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
You can treat it like a hockey puck, too, the snow.
Just shoot it right out.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a great gift available at almost all of the Fratelloni's.
I think we're in stock at every store right this second.
This second we are.
But this second is literally we're going to have snow.
Hey,
and
you got
it's-
12 days till Christmas. Now's the time to get your
now's the
slush
time. If you want to
buster.
get a slush buster, do it now. And Robbinsdale Hardware.
That's right.
That is Wellness, by the way. It's Wellness Robbinsdale. Ace.
Or slushbuster.us is their website.
.us, exactly, or Amazon.
So anyway.
But buy it at a hardware store locally.
Yes.
It's the same price.
Support local
and just come in
business.
and get it. And then when we're out of it and we totally wasted your time for driving all the way over, just order one on Amazon.
And also, don't forget, Fratelloni's and other companies are involved in the Garage Logic 1000th podcast auction that goes on up until the 15th. So you still have a couple of days left. And there's some really great deals to be had at
I think we should
that
cut this
auction.
out. Cut this portion out of this.
Why?
Because I don't want anybody to go to it because I'm bidding on something.
Are you really?
And I don't want any competition.
I
on my
may
thing.
have outed you on that because you did tell me that in confidence last
There's actually
week.
2 that I kind of want.
Okay, then I won't mention the
Okay,
Garage
so
Logic
don't say it,
1000
but-
podcast auction.
You know, don't mention it, but we do have $5,000 worth of gift cards. So
Yes.
Fratelloni's, there's like a $500 or like a handful of $500, a bunch of 250s, and a bunch of 100s. They're selling for like half price right now, which is crazy to think because people are gonna. I mean, our customers are our customers. They're gonna spend it. And when the saleswoman, Kendra,
Yes,
Drew,
Kendra, yep.
super nice. She's new here, so I didn't really know her name, but she said, "Well, Mike, what are the restrictions?" And I said, it's a gift card. There are no restrictions.
There's none.
You buy it, you come in and buy stuff. Can
how
they
it
buy
works.
stuff that's on sale? Yep. It's a gift card. They can buy whatever they want. So they were really unsure about my
I
restrictions.
love how difficult of a client you can be
I was
at
like,
times.
there are no restrictions. If they want to buy something for $500 and they have a $500 gift card, they get it.
Find out more, go to garagelogic.com and enter the keyword auction. Michael, you are the best.
Reavers, you're the best.
Please do us a favor, rate and review the show wherever you happen to be listening to the Weekly Scramble. We would appreciate that. His name is Mike Fratelloni. My name is Chris Reavers. We'll talk to you again next week. Until then, cheers.
Why do dry January when you could do sweaty January? Right now, get up to $500 off Peloton tread packages. Take your training to the next level with accessories like a heart rate band, non-slip grip dumbbells, yoga mat, and more. Join now and you'll see why 92% of households that start the year with Peloton are still active a year later. All access membership separate. Offer ends January 8th, 2023. Excludes Tread Basics package. See additional terms at onepeloton.com.
So I switched to Boost Mobile and got this free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone.
Why do you think they call it the Galaxy?
Maybe because the Samsung Galaxy A23 has a huge screen, and galaxies are huge gravitationally bound systems of stars rotating around a supermassive black hole.
And the phone is free?
When you switch to Boost Mobile.
Cool. You lost me at gravitationally bound.
Switch to Boost and get a free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone. Boost Mobile. Unleash your power. Limited time offer while supplies last. New customers only. Excludes tax. One device offer per line. Only available on certain networks. 5G not available everywhere. Additional restrictions apply. See your local Boost Mobile store for details.